Severe weather can happen in an instant,
Classic Hook Echo at this point.
putting your family in danger.
Right now, we're seeing the picture there. The roof looks like it's torn off that house.
Over the next half hour, important information on how to keep your family safe during violent storms.
He went around and warned everybody, went all through town.
Local police officer saves lives during a tornado. Exclusive dash camera video captures the moment the twister hit Orick, Missouri.
It doesn't feel like what the average person might think of a tornado shelter.
Plus, state-of-the-art protection. What one Johnson County school built to keep students safe. Right now on the 41 Action News Weather Team Special Report. Before the storm.
Good evening. I'm 41 Action News Chief Meteorologist Gary Lezak. Severe weather season is here. And compared to the last 3 years, many of you may be wondering if this is the year for violent thunderstorms. Tonight, Kansas City's certified most accurate weather team will go in depth to prepare your family before the storm. The tornado is the strongest storm on Earth. They can be as weak as 65 miles an hour or as strong as 300 miles per hour. Our biggest severe weather day a year ago was on May 10th. Let me show you this Google Earth picture of Orick, Missouri, a town still recovering after taking a direct hit that day. This is a view from Google Earth around 30 miles to the northeast. Nearly 1 year later, the scars are still visible.
Orick, Missouri, a small farming community of 850 people, a town that's seen its share of disasters. A rare January tornado hit back in 1967 and killed 2 people. The county commissioner, Mike Twyman, has lived in Orick his entire life.
That school's been hit 3 times by a tornado.
It's going to be hitting Orick here in a few minutes.
Then in May of last year, another scare.
No one was hurt.
No.
Unfortunately, no one was killed. What do you attribute that to?
Our officer on duty.
The hero that day, police officer Jamie Welsh.
He watched it form out to the southwest, and he went through town blowing his siren.
With the tornado just minutes away, Officer Welsh went down every street in town, calmly telling people to get to safety.
Guys, we got a tornado heading this way, so you might want to seek shelter.
Dash camera video captured his concerns.
It's going to be hitting Orick here in a few minutes. At this point, it's a pretty strong funnel cloud.
FFA President Tyler Crow was at a graduation party when his aunt called him to tell him a tornado was imminent.
We walked outside and looked at it, and we saw the tornado about 15 miles out. We could see it, so we were rushing to get to a house.
The tornado hit, then silence.
People teach what to do during a tornado, but they don't teach what to do after a tornado.
Caitlin Arnold, an FFA reporter and student, was concerned for her extended family.
I was at my house. I didn't know where the tornado was. I was home alone. But after realizing that my house was fine, my next response was, is my grandma okay? Is everybody else okay?
As the video shows, the tornado was on the ground directly below the funnel aloft. It went through the heart of town in just minutes. Images agriculture teacher Don Honeycutt will never forget.
To see the big grain storage unit across the road, and to see the trees just laying all over the schoolyard.
In just a short few minutes, the twister had knocked down 99 power poles, knocked trees down all over town, and damaged the high school. Only this time, everyone made it out alive.
The tornado in Orick is just one of a handful that hit our viewing area last year. Last April, a twister tore through Pleasanton, Kansas. That's in Lynn County down the state line. The storm's strong winds ended up leveling a 130-year-old church dating back to the Civil War era. Overall, 2014 was a very quiet severe weather season. Now, tornadoes can destroy a neighborhood in minutes, but out of the tragedies are coming new building designs. And meteorologist Kalee Dionne joins me now with a live look at how it's impacting schools. Kalee.
Well, for parents, a tornado warning during the school day is terrifying. But one Johnson County district is offering a peace of mind with a cutting-edge storm shelter. Blue Valley's Executive Director of Facilities and Operations gave us a look inside.
Dueling violent tornadoes
6 tornadoes have devastated schools in the past 50 years. As Gary mentioned, 2 high school students died when a high school roof collapsed in Orick, Missouri. That happened during the tornado outbreak of 1967. Now, to ensure its students' safety, the Blue Valley School District is building a state-of-the-art tornado shelter in all of their new schools.
The entire assembly is 7.5 inches thick. It's a very strong lid over this whole thing.
This 5,000 square foot addition to the new Hilltop Campus Learning Center will hold 1,100 people with glass walls that are 1¼ inch thick that can withstand EF5 wind speeds.
In laboratory environments, they take a 2x4 shot out of an air cannon at approximately 200 miles an hour.
It meets FEMA 351 and ICC 500 standards with safety doors that bolt into the ground, an extremely thick ceiling, and bathrooms. Yes, bathrooms.
But we wanted to make sure that it was a place that they could seek refuge for that short amount of time and still be comfortable.
1,100 people in one space for a long period of time can get a little stuffy, so there's a ventilation system in there to work in a natural flow.
It's constantly drawing natural fresh air ventilation through the system, so even if there was no power, we could still make sure that the occupants, all 1,100 of them, would receive adequate ventilation.
The most reassuring aspect, it looks like a normal classroom.
So it's a very non-threatening environment for them to be in.
Plans are also in place for a new elementary school near the Overland Park Arboretum. It too will feature some of these state-of-the-art storm shelter designs. And over time, older school buildings in Blue Valley will also receive shelter upgrades. Now, schools are not the only ones installing storm shelters. Meteorologist J.D. Rudd joins me with a look at a new trend.
That's right, Kalee. After the May 2011 tornado in Joplin, Missouri, daycare owners in that city began changing the way they operate. Many of them took out loans to purchase and install shelters like this one you see here, all for the safety of their kids. One manufacturer believes this will cause a ripple effect across the Midwest. Parents, it's important that you ask your daycare provider about their severe weather plan so you know what they're doing. And technology is also playing a key role in shelters once a storm hits. Jeff Pinner joins me now to explain a little more about that.
That's right, JD. Many manufacturers hand over a set of GPS coordinates to the owner once installed. And Larry Hall put a shelter in his Belton garage last year. The information found on his certificate can help rescuers pinpoint his exact location in the aftermath of a tornado. This technology is so new, emergency management offices are figuring out the best way to collect and store all the information.
All right, Jeff, what are the chances of an active severe weather season in our area, in our viewing area this season? I poured over all the data. The answer is in my severe weather forecast still ahead. Plus, driving into danger, the intersections you need to avoid when the flooding hits the metro.
Pop quiz for you. Knowing where to go during a tornado is very critical. Here's a floor plan for a single-story house without a basement. Where should the residents take shelter? Take a look here. Do you know the answer? We'll talk about it in 2.5 minutes. All right, do you know the answer? Where is the best place to hide in this house, which does not have a basement? Remember, you always want to find an interior room without windows. Put as many walls between you and the storm as possible. In this situation, the best place to be is in bathroom number 2. Find yourself under a stairwell. That would also work for a 2-story home, or in a bathtub, somewhere putting as many walls between you and the outside as you possibly can. Gary.
Excellent job, JD. Flash flooding is the #1 killer during severe weather. Did you know that? But oftentimes not taken seriously, as seriously as a tornado. So how much water is too much? Jeff Penner takes a look, and the answer may surprise you.
Flash flooding is the leading cause of severe weather-related deaths each year, about 100 per year. More than half of all flood-related drownings happen when a car is driven into high water. Driving through high water is a risky and dangerous move. So you're driving in your car and you come across an intersection that looks flooded. What's the first thing you do?
Depends on how high the water is. I know if you stop, you're going to get flooded. If I can go through it, I'm going to go through it. If not, I'm going to turn around.
Jana Whitlock isn't the only driver who will take unnecessary risks. So how much water does it take to wash away a car or SUV? We're here in front of a standard SUV. How much water does it take to float or wash away one of these SUVs? So it takes just 24 inches or 2 feet of water flowing to wash away an SUV. It takes 12 inches of water or 1 foot to wash away a regular car, and it takes just 6 inches of flowing water to float a car and completely disable it where you lose control. So when you're approaching a flooded intersection, how do you know whether the water's 6 inches deep or 24 inches deep? How would you know whether you could go through it or not?
I guess depends on what type of vehicle I'm in. If I'm in this, I know I'm gonna get through it.
The next time you're faced with a flooding situation, remember this. It only takes 2 feet of rushing water to wash away a standard SUV. Because there's no way to judge water depth, the only safe thing to do is TADD. Turn around, don't drown. Now here are some locations to be aware of. In Olathe near Tomahawk Creek between 143rd and 151st Streets on Flum Road, and in Liberty between 291 Highway and Skyline Drive, and in Kansas City at 31st Street and Southwest Boulevard. Now you can find more intersections on our website, kshb.com. Just search flooding. Gary?
All right, thanks a lot, Jeff. Bridging the gap during storms, how new technology is helping our weather team cover severe weather in Missouri.
I think he was a big imprint on everybody's heart.
A local police officer killed by lightning, and how the tragedy could help save your life.
Welcome back. When severe weather hits your neighborhood, you can track it with our Storm Shield app. Time Magazine just featured it as one of the top 10 must-have weather apps. Storm Shield works like a weather radio on your smartphone. And you can find it on iTunes or Google Play. More information is also on our website, kshb.com.
All right, thanks a lot, Kalee. Lightning is the second leading cause of weather-related deaths in the United States. And JD, that's more than tornadoes and hurricanes.
And it's something people don't think about a lot. And Gary, it can happen so fast. And if you're outside, you're already at risk. It's an important lesson, too, that one local police department keeps in mind during every storm.
It can change your life in a flash. Sergeant Brent Holland of the Riverside Police Department knows all too well how dangerous lightning can be. The badge you see here once belonged to fellow officer and friend Jeff Taylor.
Jeff had a lot of character to him.
It was Jeff's character that made him one of the first to volunteer to help with the recovery efforts the day after Joplin, Missouri was hit by that massive EF5 tornado in May of 2011.
You knew that once you were on a call with him, everything was going to be fine.
But after the call on May 23rd, things would be far from all right.
The storms came through. He was giving a ride to a chaplain, from what I understand, to the command post. Chaplain got off. Jeff got off the ATV, and the lightning struck near the ATV, and it just arced into him.
Officer Taylor was rushed to the hospital. He underwent skin graft surgery, but died less than 2 weeks later from the complications of the lightning strike.
So when something like that happens, you lose an immediate family member.
The passing of Officer Taylor has left a lasting memory on the entire Riverside Police Department.
Our connection to Joplin is now forever etched. Jeff is honored down there as one of the fallen members.
And Officer Taylor was one of an estimated 1,000 people that are struck by lightning each year in the U.S. And did you know you can be struck by lightning when you're 30 miles away from a storm? It's called a bolt from the blue. Let's take a look at this. Let's say we got a setup here. We'll take this around Metro Kansas City, zoom in a bit. Let's take two locations. Let's say Liberty and about Bonner Springs, which are around 28 miles away from each other. So you've got a thunderstorms in Bonner Springs producing lightning, Gary.
And then the anvil for that thunderstorm could spread all the way out, miles, 30, 40, 50, 100 miles away.
You might have blue sky or a few clouds in Liberty, but you could still be struck by lightning that far away. So the important thing here, when you hear the thunder.
That's right. That is the key word, hearing the thunder. That's when you need to get inside to stay safe. All right, thanks a lot, JD. New technology is closing the radar gap between Kansas City and St. Louis. Earlier this summer, or coming up this summer, construction will begin on a new Doppler system at Mizzou's South Farm Research Center. It will help us better track storms on the eastern edge of our viewing area. The radar can clearly detect tornado debris in the air, allowing us to confirm a tornado is on the ground at night. All right, guys, so what worries kids the most about severe weather? We wanted to know the answers, so we headed out to Raymore Elementary School.
Definitely tornadoes, and I think as an educator, tornadoes and being in school and making sure I can keep kids safe is the part that worries me the most.
Well, I've been through 2 of them, and they're very scary because it's just wind noises outside, just everything just blown all over the place.
I'm afraid that maybe we won't have enough time to put the blankets all over us in our bathroom.
I kind of freak out a little bit, but then I go downstairs to the basement with my mom and dad, my brother and sister.
And then there's like the tornado out back of my window, and it's coming to like get me or something. Not really, but that's what I'm afraid of.
They can like throw stuff all over the place. They could destroy buildings.
I think tornadoes might scare me a little more because our basement has a giant window like this.
I don't really want to like not hear the tornado siren and then have our city be destroyed and get hurt a lot.
I would think hail, because it's just giant pieces of ice falling down from the sky.
It's interesting to talk to the kids because they know a lot. They know a lot about severe weather, and you just need to make sure you're talking to your kids and have a plan. So, because the more they know, the less they can be scared.
So cute, and they pay so much attention to it.
Yeah.
They soak up a lot of things in their minds and create these stories in their heads, so it's very critical just to have a sit-down conversation. Let them know storms can be scary, but you also have to stay safe and educate them.
Yeah, and my son, 8 years old, becoming 9, I've educated him. He does not scared of the thunder and the lightning, but we also go through what you do when it's going to be a big, severe situation.
All right, we'll be talking to kids as we head out to schools this season. And what can we expect from this severe weather season, though? I reveal my spring forecast next. Plus, we're setting the record straight on tornado sirens, the mistake most of us are making during a dangerous storm.
It's a familiar sound, is it not?
Yes.
A lot of people hear that sound this time of year, and there are some misconceptions about sirens.
So you can hear them inside and outside, depending on where the sirens are. But technically, they're not designed to be heard indoors.
They're called outdoor warning sirens for a reason. Do not rely on them to wake you up. Do not rely on them to be overheard from your TV or any excitement going on in your house. That's where weather radio really comes into play.
Yep, so you have to have both, and our Storm Shield weather app helps with that. Gary?
When you see the lightning, hear the thunder, and then the sirens, it's sort of an eerie feeling. Just take cover. So just how active of a severe weather season will we see? Here is my severe spring forecast.
Heavy rain, hail, possible tornadoes. Thunderstorms are often beneficial here in the plains and Midwest as we need the rain. But when they become too strong, they can create the worst storm on earth, the tornado. Kansas City is located in Tornado Alley, really on the edge, where there are more tornadoes in the United States than anywhere else in the world. Warm, moist air flows north out of the Gulf of Mexico and meets up with the drier air coming over the Rocky Mountains, and the clash is on. It's been quiet the past few years, and severe weather season has started slowly again. This year, there was a record low number of severe thunderstorms during the first 3 months of the year. According to the LRC, this trend is likely going to continue as this pattern is cycling.
There is organization to the chaos in the atmosphere, and our weather team has figured out how to forecast the weather long range. The LRC is the centerpiece of this very complex weather puzzle, and we can forecast the weather accurate 30, 60, 100, 200 days into the future. The same pattern for this last winter is still going on now as we go into spring and into summer. During the warm phase of the pattern, expect more dry weather and less severe weather. During the cold phase, expect wetter weather in late May. That's the best chance of getting a lot of rain, and we will need it. During the change from the warm phase into the cold phase, expect more violent weather with a possibility of severe weather. Now, how did we do this past winter? Let's look at our accuracy check.
As you can see, our winter forecast was just about spot on. 17 inches of snow forecast and 14 inches fell. We forecasted a milder winter, and it was mild. We stated many times that Kansas City will not be in the right spot for storm systems and snow, and we weren't. Kansas City was not in the right spot for snowstorms this season, and this trend will continue for our severe weather chances. We are forecasting the most likely stretch for severe weather to arrive between May 17th and May 25th, give or take a few days. Kansas City averages around 14 inches of rain during April, May, and June. We are forecasting near average, but a better than 50% chance of below average rainfall this spring. So make sure your lawn sprinklers are ready to go. Keep your eye to the sky. And as we move into summer, multiple heat waves are likely, and we will look ahead as summer approaches.
So there is a chance of a drought this summer, but yeah, the odds are low as long as we get near average rainfall. So we're hoping to get near average rainfall when those opportunities arrive. All right, guys, great job for our weather team and our producer and our entire team. Stay with 41 Action News. We'll keep you advised.